Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I hope everything is okay in your life. This video series has been prepared for general features of the classes in BDO to be conveyed to you by the Classmasters in appropriate way. The information contained in this video is limited and will not be a detailed guide. In the content you will meet, there will be an interview about the structure of the class in general. If you have friends around you who have questions about this class, they will probably be able to find general answers. The purpose of interview is to convey the class to you in a short and fun way. First, you will watch official trailer of the class, then we will start chatting with our guests. During the chat, I will add as many images as possible and try to provide you with a better information transfer. I hope you enjoy these contents. All these and similar classes will be completed and published in time. If you do not want to miss the moment when they are published, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button. Enjoy watching. Well, hello. Welcome, guys. Today's guest is BigBadTortoise. Welcome, BigBad. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you so much. May you please introduce yourself? Who is BigBad?
BigBadTortoise, also known as Torty, 27. Been playing BDO on NA for about 5 years now.
How did you find BDO? From a friend or website? How you go into MMORPG games? How did you decide to play this game?
One of my real-life friends named Justin was playing the beta for BDO, and he was trying to get all of our little friend group play. He said it was super sick. So after beta was over and the game released, I decided to give it a try around the time Dark Knight Awakening came out, and I just fell in love with the game. Before BDO, I actually played other MMOs like World of Warcraft and a lot of League of Legends and Dota 1, Warcraft 3.
Okay, how many years have you been playing your class? Is this your first class? Are there any other classes that you started the game with or tried?
I've been playing Archer for about 4 years now, shortly after it released. It's not my first class. The first class I ever created was actually an Awakening Sork, and I didn't play that for too long. I only got to like level 57 on that, and then I rerolled to Wizard, and I played Wizard all the way up until Archer was released. I've also tried a couple other classes here and there, like Nova on release. I played a little bit of Sage, and I have also tried Ranger.
Okay. Do you think your class is newbie friendly? How would you rate your class out of 10 in terms of difficulty in PvE and also PvP?
I would say Archer is an intermediate class in terms of difficulty. I don't think it's the easiest class to pick up, but it's definitely not the hardest to master either. Out of 10 in terms of difficulty in PvE and PvP, I'd say probably like a 6. PvE on Archer can be a little sweaty and the class is very squishy. In PvP, most people struggle with movement. Learning how to stay protected while kiting multiple opponents around, and knowing how much space is enough to shoot some chip damage will take some time. But if you stick with the class, it feels super rewarding and smooth to play in both PvP and PvE.
Archer is very unique class, and most of viewers, maybe newbies don't know, but Archer born with Awakening. Would you rather a succession on your class?
I don't think it's a terrible idea to give Archer succession. I think there's definitely an avenue there that PA could have explored, or maybe still can. I think the Awakening or the pre-Awakening kit is pretty unique and cool, and it's got some fun skills in it. Some of them still aren't utilized even after the reworks. So I think there's definitely an avenue there that PA could explore, and it could be an interesting spec if they actually put some time into it.
So damage reduction or evasion?
Damage reduction.
Okay, thank you. So, as you know, I published a PvE tier list video on my channel. May you please analyze this PvE page related with Archer?
Early game spots, Archer is very strong. You have plenty of movement to keep up with the one-shottable mobs. Crowded spots, Akban, Hysteria, Sakraya, Thornwood, Orcs. Archer does fine there. You have plenty of movement, plenty of big AoEs and damage. In-game spots is when it kind of falls off. You got to be very careful because, as you can see on the durability rating, it's only a 1.5. The class is very squishy, so you got to be really careful at these in-game spots. And you have to put in a lot of effort to make sure you're getting appropriate back attacks, etc. In terms of mobility, the class is obviously very good. Once you learn how to weave in skating in between your skills, plenty of movement to move around and have a nice grind speed.
May you please give us a bit information about Archer PvE?
Archer is really good at early game spots like Sulfur, Centaur, Valencia spots, etc. Once you get the movement down, you can go pretty quick with no stamina issues, and nothing feels better than Grand Blooming and one-shotting like 4 packs at a time. Mid-game spots, so spots like Sakraya or Star's End, where you have to pull mobs, is still okay. You have a pretty big AoEs for pulling with Arrow Explosion, and you can usually just auto-attack mobs to pull them, as long as the mobs cannot be CC'd. Spots like Elvia are also really strong on Archer because you have things like Grand Bloom, which you can one-shot up to like 4 packs at a time with proper positioning with a Elvia weapon buff active. Overall, the class has pretty good sized AoEs and good damage in PvE for early game and mid game spots. For the end game spots, that's when Archer kind of falls off a little. There is plenty of damage available to you, but you have to position yourself to always be getting back attacks. And you also have to be very careful when you're at these in-game spots because they do hit pretty hard and you're on one of the most squishy classes in the game. So that will turn a lot of people off from Archer at the in-game spots like Gyfin or Olins or Hex Sanctuary.
Okay, thank you. May you please give us a bit information about PvP? 1v1, 1vx, Arano Solar and large scale. What are you doing against your enemies?
Sure, so 1v1. PvP on Archer feels really good, but you do need a good amount of AP, I would say. Bare minimum, I'd say the class doesn't start really feeling like it does any damage until after the 301 bracket. 1v1s, I'd say most matchups are relatively winnable. Succession DKs can be pretty hard right now with the current state that they're in. Mooses can also be very oppressive and hard to deal with. These matchups aren't impossible though, and I would say shield classes could give you a problem if you don't have enough AP to pressure their guards. In 1vx, I would say this is probably where Archer is the weakest. You only have a few iframes to work with and you're extremely squishy on the class. 1v2 and 1v3 can be winnable depending on the classes that you're fighting, but if you get paired up against any kind of fast class that can keep pressure on you, then you're gonna have a very hard time 1vxing on Archer. In 5v5, I would say Archer can be really good. You apply a lot of pressure because you have a lot of ranged knockdowns. You can pump out a lot of damage if you're left unchecked. You'll rely on your team to help you if you're being hard focused and you're just focused on surviving. So there is that issue where you kind of have to rely on your team if you're being completely hard focused. In large scale, this is probably where Archer is the best. Having long ranged damage and CCs in large scale is extremely powerful. You can easily top frag on Archer in large scale settings like Node War and Siege, as long as you have good positioning and a strong front line.
Thank you. So what about accuracy problem on Archer? Do you really need that much accuracy?
I don't think you need as much as other classes. We've gotten a little bit of help with that with the reworks. I personally think a bare minimum of about 900 accuracy is where you feel pretty comfortable against most opponents.
I think you summarized class very well. And that's enough because we don't have succession, awakening, and different situation, and those knowledge and those informations are enough for newbies or returnees or whoever wants to be real plus. Let's talk about game itself. You said that you are 5 years old BDO player. So what do you think about BDO for current situation from past until now?
Honestly, I think the game is in a decline currently. A lot of the top end guilds on NA specifically have kind of dwindled and down to only like 5 high end siege / node war guilds on our server currently. The game needs to go back to a less protected, less damage meta. We need to keep moving in the direction where CCs are not protected so that classes can actually be caught and CC'd again instead of people just dying standing up, because I don't think just dying standing up shows any kind of skillful gameplay at all, personally. I do think there are some positives that are still coming to the game. For example, AOS. I think AOS was a great addition to the game. However, for me personally, with the current meta of classes in AOS like Succession, DK, and Musa, it's not super enjoyable for me because these classes are so oppressive and I kind of just kite around and survive as long as I can and hope that my teammates can get something done. So I personally think, yeah, the game is on a decline and I would like to see it go back to a less protected, more skillful meta that it was back when they first redid the CC system before all of these succession classes came out and the bond skills came out. Any skill that CC'd was unprotected. Catching people was a lot easier and it was a catch meta where you had to CC your opponent to kill them. I would like to see the game go back in that direction.
Yeah, me too. So, if you have a chance to add new feature to BDO or change something, what would it be?
I would be interested to see a ranked large scale mode similar to AOS where you have matched gear, ratings, leaderboards, etc., except it's large scale with an objective based mode like capture the flag, so that classes like mine who excel at large scale combat can have an avenue of a ranked game mode to show off our skills. I also think as I said in the last question, I think we should go back to a more catch meta rather than a SA trade die standing up meta, because that just makes way more sense to me and I think it showcases skill a lot more than the meta that we're currently playing in. I also think they need to fix the air attack and down attack on the dummies in the BA. You can't see this combat text, so classes that utilize these special attacks, they can't really tell on the dummies if they're working correctly.
I want to add this one for dummies. There is a problem about float CC on dummies. When you apply that float CC, it seems like almost bound CC. So as you guys know, there is an air duration on float CC, approximately 1 second. And this 1 second is the second that you can apply air attack damage freely to your opponent. So if you cannot see that 1 second duration while dummy is on not an air, if it seems like on the ground, you cannot understand that you are applying that air damage to your opponent. So actually they should fix that problem too, like the combat text on the dummies, you cannot see them. So what are your advices for newbie or returnee or whoever wants to reroll Archer?
Say for new and returning players, you definitely want to play Season, do the Season Pass. Archer is very good on Seasons as well. Even with the capped gear, your damage is fine, and your early game clears are obviously very good, like we talked about earlier. I would say Google is your best friend. Make sure you're looking up guides to help you learn anything that you want in the game. There's plenty of content out there, especially for like the journals, etc. Always remember it's a marathon, not a sprint in BDO. Try not to compare yourself to other players and how fast they're progressing. Everybody's road in BDO is different. Some people get lucky and one tap their pen black stars. Some people have to grind out 150 bill and buy them. It's different for everyone. Just make sure you don't get discouraged and try not to compare yourself to other players.
Okay, thank you. We're coming towards the end of the interview, and is there anything you would like to add?
I don't think so. I just want to say I appreciate your time and the opportunity for the interview. I think getting information about these classes out there from people that have a lot of experience on them is great for the community.
Thank you. You accepted my invitation, you shared your knowledge and your experience. Yes, this class is different than the other classes, one of the unique class in the game, and no awakening and no succession. So this interview is maybe shortest one. I don't know. I will edit and we will see this. I want to say thank you so much.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Alright guys, do not forget, BDO is just a game. Have a nice game.